roster plans for WWE 2K24 have definitely changed. Today we're talking about the unfortunate releases by WWE just the other day, giving you the full rundown of who is no longer with the company and discussing how this could impact WWE 2K24, but also mention a few little bright spots that we could be looking forward to along the way. Let's get into the breakdown of the releases by WWE. This went with WWE's announcement that they are partnering with USA Network and that USA is going to be taking on SmackDown on Friday nights instead of Fox, going on for a brand new 5-year deal with the network. Why is this relevant? Well, it's because they announced this, TKO did, in the morning, and then right after that, they started doing all of the releases for these talents. We're looking at about 20 talents that have been released by the company, and looking at those from NXT to start off with and Level Up system, we have Bryson Montana, Brooklyn Barlow, Ikeman Gyro, Kevin Ventura Cortez, Ulyssa Leon, and Quincy Elliott from the NXT system. Main roster took a significant hit, I'd say overall. Shanky has been released by WWE. Massey and Mansoor of Maximum Male Models have been released too. Dana Brooke has been released, who's been in the company for a very long time, and then she went down to NXT and started working there. I've always enjoyed Dana's work. She was improving year after year, so it's unfortunate to see her let go. Daba Kato or Commander Aziz has also been let go. Top Dollar from Hit Row has also been released. Shelton Benjamin, who was with the company forever and then left and had been re-signed by WWE. I'm really surprised they would let someone like Shelton Benjamin go. Emma has also been released, who's another wrestler I thought could have done so much more if given the opportunity. She was with the WWE from back in 2012 and then released in 2017, and then under Triple H's new leadership brought back to the company, and unfortunately she's been let go. We've also got Riddick Moss, or Madcap Moss, has been released. Elias has also been released. We had heard rumblings that Elias had been released a little while ago, but now it's been officially confirmed. Aaliyah is also released by WWE, who was out with injury at a previous point, and then we just never saw her brought back to TV at all. Rick Boogs has been released. Mustafa Ali is also released by WWE. Ali is supposed to have a match at NXT No Mercy against Dominic Mysterio for the North American Championship, so I don't know what they're even gonna do there. And one of the biggest names I feel on this list, but for me anyways, is going to be Dolph Ziggler. Ziggler started with WWE all the way back in 2004, so he's been with them forever, and I'm really shocked that they would let him go. Now, it does seem that with a lot of these talents and some of the reports that are out there, that a lot of talents that were making main roster money and they were not being utilized were being let go. That's at least to some of the reports going on online. I assume someone like Dolph Ziggler would be around forever with WWE, turn into a coach or producer or something like that. And for all the talents, I do hope that they all land and go to Impact, AEW, the Indies, and have huge successful careers outside of WWE. The industry overall is very healthy nowadays, which is great. There's a lot of promotions they can go and work with. I just think it's unfortunate that all of these wrestlers have been let go. So what does this mean for 2K24? We have to talk about it here because that's what this channel is. We're talking about the wrestling video games and what we could look forward to and what might not be there next year. So with 2K24, it seems very unlikely, in my opinion, that any of these wrestlers would be in the game. In large part, they would have their 90-day non-compete clause, which should take them to about December of this year. But outside of that, there is very little hope that any of them would be in the next video game. Usually 2K is going to close up that window of doing the roster selection by like the Royal Rumble or just shortly after at the latest. Then they lock in the roster and that's it. Unless there's going to be a special request by WWE that they have to remove certain wrestlers, I don't think that's going to happen. And in this case, we're very early on in the development. It's only September now, late September, so it does seem like all of these wrestlers would get let go and removed from the next game, which is unfortunate. If you want to play as them, play 2K23 next year, and then you got the big roster. The only wrestler out of this list that I could have seen making it as a DLC possibility and where 2K might have to do a little bit of shuffling is Emma. And I say that because I think she's somebody that hasn't been there very long in her recent return, and 2K might have wanted to utilize that return to add her in as like a DLC return superstar. It's not a huge deal on that part of 2K by just removing her and adding somebody else in. It takes a little bit of hit to the roster overall, but I do hope that it would mean 2K would beef up the roster. If not, they had already plans to do that, I hope, to beef it up, to give us more wrestlers, more legends in the game. And with these cuts, we may end up seeing a little bit of an influx of more NXT wrestlers. What I didn't like about this past year's DLC with 2K23 is the huge focus of NXT wrestlers. I'm glad they were in the game, but I felt like it was way too heavy-handed on NXT and not enough for legends. But that's just me. I want to be able to play as Rick Rude and Mr. Perfect and Dusty and Flair and all these other ones, but we didn't get those wrestlers in the game. So I'm hoping that next year we're going to see the likes of the Dudley Boys, who just re-signed a Legends contract with WWE, and hopefully they pull out more names to be able to add them in, since we're not going to have these talents made available. Now, one of the bright spots within all of this, to give us some hope anyways, as fans of these wrestlers, is the possibility that all of their likeness, their motions, their move sets, they're all going to be made available potentially in 2K24. This happens usually every single year. 2K will go in and they'll just rename the motion to something else. So like Hit Row, for example, I don't know what's going to happen there. I'm a little surprised that they let go of Top Dollar, who is kind of like the lead man of that group, and the other two have not been released. Not that I want anyone getting released at all. I'm just surprised that out of all three, that's what ended up happening. I could see the other two, Ashante the Adonis and BFAB, end up in NXT and getting repackaged possibly. If that's the case, then hopefully they make it in time to get repackaged and put on the roster. I can see the Hit Row motion just being left in the video game, and then Community Creations will just go in and recreate Top Dollar for us. Same with Dolph Ziggler. We've had multiple Dolph Ziggler motions in the game this year alone. I don't see that being removed. I see them just renaming the entire motion to something else. Potentially his call name is still in there, but Community Creations is going to have a lot of work to do next year with a lot of these wrestlers that are going to be left out. The only other hope that we have here, everybody, is when it comes to my faction. Hear me out. The good thing that could happen with all of this is folks like iWorld's Finest and What's the Status and Joe Mashups and others that might be able to find my faction content that was slated for 2K23 revolving around Elias, Dolph Ziggler, Emma, anybody else, and maybe getting them pulled into the game. So we might be able to see in 2K24 some more hidden models from the released wrestlers and have them put in there by the community. I don't think we would see their music or their Titantron left in the game. I mean, if you're on PC, go crazy with mods and then you have nothing to worry about. But for everybody else on consoles, it's unlikely that they would leave in the Titantrons. Once again, if they're left hidden in the files, then we might be getting a pleasant surprise next year, because we have seen this in previous years where if talent have been released, folks like What's the Status can go in day one and be able to dig up any of the Titantrons or files, music, anything like that, and being able to post it in Community Creations for us. My big wish and hope here is, number one, that, like I said, all the wrestlers end up finding new paths in wrestling and we see them on TV regularly with other promotions. And two, that 2K flushes out the roster even more in 2K24 to make up for this giant loss, and hopefully there are no more releases after this. For more WWE 2K23 and 24 coverage, click right here, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you on the next video. Bye.